Welcome to the realm of magic and mystery, classic horror and sci-fi. You are now entering the House of the Unusual podcast with your hosts, Eddie and Joe.
Welcome, everyone, once again to the House of the Unusual podcast. I'm your host, Joe Pavlansky, and with me, as always, is the maestro of mail order mysteries and owner of House of the Unusual, the one, the only, Eddie Guevara. What's up, Eddie?
What's up, Joe? How's everything? Everything's good my way. How about you?
Same old over here, man. Just had some rain today and, some different stuff going on. But, before we get into our conversation, let's give a shout out to all our friends of the podcast and their websites, their stores, where people could find some cool items that they might be looking for. So today we're going to start off with the Sea Monkeys for our buddy Todd Machin. So if you're looking for anything that has to do with sea monkeys, head over to sea-monkeys.com, and they have everything that you need to get started to grow your underwater pets. They have different kits. They also have, which are really cool, which Todd sent me, and I really love the artwork on them, is greeting cards. They have, looks like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different greeting cards, and the artwork is absolutely beautiful. They have a new light that you could put on the top of your sea monkey aquarium so that you could actually see them, swimming around at night. There's a little projector screen where it makes it look like the sea monkeys are watching a movie. So he has a lot of cool stuff on there. So head over to sea-monkeys.com and check out his store. Also, man, what I'm really excited about, and I'm about halfway through reading the 4th issue, is Stupid Comics magazine, and we've been promoting this since we first found out about it, and I know a bunch of us have ordered all the ones that are out, 0 through number 4, and they are a fantastic comics magazine. They're a little bit of a mixture between Cracked, Mad, and The Far Side. They're all in black and white and absolutely hilarious. And they were even kind enough to put in issue number 4 on the back page a large, full-scale, full-page ad for the House of the Unusual. So many thanks to Stupid Comics magazine for that and for supporting our endeavors. So if you're interested in their magazine, head over to stupidcomicsmagazine.com, and stupid is spelled STOOPID, stupidcomicsmagazine.com. Also, as many of you know, that I am a contributing writer for Scary Monsters magazines. I love writing for them, and they always have great articles on classic movies and some stuff from the 80s as well. So you can head over to mymoviemonsters.com for the newest issue and for any back issues. So issue number 123, which is the Harrowing Haunted Halloween issue, it's up for pre-order now. Should be shipping somewhere around late September. So you can head over and check that out. Scott Jackson did an amazing cover on it. It's going to be just like we did last year with the Halloween issue. This is a glow-in-the-dark cover. And what they're trying to do with this one, as long as the printer, does their job, when you put this one under light and then look at it in the dark, you're going to be able to see some ghosts on there and monsters that you can't see in normal daylight. So it's going to be absolutely fantastic. So that's issue number 123. It's out for pre-order right now, and you could get it regular, or for an extra $1 you could get it bagged and board. So that's at mymoviemonsters.com. Also, if you are interested in some horror magic and you want to support our brother Chuck Caputo, check him out on YouTube under Sherry Caputo, and that's CHERI, Sherry Caputo. And Chuck has some amazing videos on there. They're real quick videos, anywhere from 3 to 4 or 5 minutes long, and that's his site where he posts all his new videos of magic tricks. So head over there, subscribe to his channel, and give his videos a thumbs up. You'll be absolutely amazed at what he does. All right, we also got our buddy Dave Haversat's site, 1878press.com. That's 1878press.com for all your magic and mentalist book needs. He has tons of books there to check out at a great price. So that's 1878press.com. And if you're like me and you're always looking for some, some monster movies or sci-fi movies to watch, and you don't know what to watch, you're going through your DVD collection, and you well, I got a free streaming service for you that's online, and it is themonsterchannel.com. They run a 24/7 free streaming site there. They also have a little chat so you could talk with some people that are also watching the movie or show, and they play horror, sci-fi. They have serials. Every once in a while, a Western or Kung Fu movie, but there's some great stuff on there. And they also have a weekly schedule that's posted at the bottom. So check that out at themonsterchannel.com. So that's what we got for our friends of the show. Just head over there and support them and, see what they got, because we're all about building a community. So let's head over let's see what the Crypt of Classics got for us today. So we are going to head down into the basement of the House of the Unusual, where the Crypt of Classics is hanging out. And we'll see what we got for you this week. And oh man, this is a good one. This is The Phantom Carriage from 1921, a film that is it's a little over 100 years old, because it came out January 1st of 1921, and it is a silent movie. It's an absolute fantastic movie. So I'll give you a little brief synopsis of it and where you could find it. So The Phantom Carriage is a 1921 Swedish silent film distributed by SF Films and is directed by and stars Victor Bjorstrom. The film is based on the 1912 novel Thy Soul Shall Bear Witness, written by Selma Lagerlöf. It was released on January 1st, 1921 in Sweden, February 4th, 1921 in the United Kingdom, under the title Thy Soul Shall Bear Witness, then on February 1st, 1922 in the United States under the title The Stroke of Midnight, and the film has a runtime of 106 minutes. The Phantom Carriage is notable for its innovative narrative structure of flashbacks within flashbacks, its special effects, and for belonging to several genres such as horror, melodrama, fantasy, and morality tales. The story revolves mostly around a ghostly carriage that appears every year at the stroke of midnight. So if you're the last person that died on midnight, the Phantom Carriage arrives at your body, and you must take over the duties of the driver of the Phantom Carriage. And when somebody dies, you have to go around and collect their soul. So the movie revolves around that premise, and it gets into a lot of morality tales about drinking, taking care of family, and basically being a good person. And the movie, for a silent film, if you're someone that's not really into silent films, I would definitely give this one a try. It's a quick watch. It's very it keeps your attention the whole way through. It is absolutely fantastic, and it is downright spooky. So if you're interested in watching this, the film could be found on YouTube for free. However, the quality, it's not too bad, but it's there. But if you're like me and you want a good copy of it, check out the Criterion Collection. They released a beautiful Blu-ray copy in 2011 in collaboration with the Swedish Film Institute. That's definitely the way to go. There's tons of extras on it, to really dig into the film and check out its history. So that is The Phantom Carriage, 1921. That is your weekly movie. So once you have watched that movie, head over at houseoftheunusual.com. On our forum page, pinned at the top of the forum, it will say Crypto Classics. Go on there. Let us know what you thought of the movie if you've watched it. Hopefully that you like it. I know I watched it a couple weeks ago, and I was absolutely floored by the special effects, especially that was over 100 years ago. So that's our Crypto Classics movie for the week. So Eddie, I'm going to turn it over to you. What is new over at the House of the Unusual? I know you've had some some things go on this week that you wanted to get into and let everybody know about.
Well, the things is basically no one expected. I was here Thursday night and in my place, and then I decided to go home. And right after the podcast, I get an email from my daughter saying that where my stuff is, I had a slight water was seeping under the door, and she was here trying to make sure everything was okay. Apparently, that kind of threw me into a bit of a cram because I was scheduled to launch right after the live cast of Chuck Caputo, the full line of the 8 tricks we advertised, but instead I was able to put up the gathering and haven't listed the other ones yet. And they will be, hopefully tomorrow, I'm going to list another 2 or 3 so I can get the 8 out there so people that are interested can go ahead and buy Chuck Caputo's new magic. Also, Chuck Caputo now is part of House of the Unusual, and most of his new videos are going to be put up in the House of the Unusual YouTube channel. And Chuck Caputo has created a magic line in the House of the Unusual. He is also a full-timer in the House of the Unusual right now, and he will be one of the hosts. So it's going to be me, Joe, and Chuck most of the time. His videos that are on houseoftheunusual.com on the actual YouTube channel, House of the Unusual, will consist of all the new magic tricks that he has, and there will be links underneath each of the videos so that people can purchase it. And this is very important for people to know because the links will eventually link everybody to our website where they can purchase it on the website. Right now, I actually started listing them on eBay because I'm still working with the Wix site, which is the one we use. And, I'm learning the process of how to make the site a lot better and more interactive and intuitive for the people that come on, that they can, purchase things if they want to. They can, become for us if they want to. And one important thing that a lot of people, Joe, don't realize is that if anybody out there, and we would appreciate it because it's getting a little tough with so many things that we're doing. If anybody out there wants to sponsor us, you can actually start from 95 cents a month to $4.95 and become a sponsor for us in the podcast at anchor.fm. You can go directly and become a partner with us. And those partners are going to get special gifts from us. Now, what we're planning to do is in the next, I think I have spoken to Joe about it, but I was planning to, because like I said, I've been so overwhelmed between the water that came into my place to trying to get the tricks out and produced, to writing the ads for them. It's become pretty hectic for me. But what I wanted to do, the most important thing is I want to launch the site for Go Ship Times, which is a newsletter that Joe himself has been putting together for us. And the first issue of Go Ship Times is going to be very exciting. It's going to have 4 never before published UFO photos, and they're going to be included. And they're going to have the little issue of Go Ship Times, and it's going to be set up. Probably, I think I'm going to set this up on the Etsy channel to keep it away from the House of the Unusual right now because I'm working on how to integrate the 2 things together. To do the most right now is I'm trying to get the store that we have at the houseoftheunusual.com website to have all our products there and all the links there. But as I'm working on that, I'm going to probably put them in different places so that we can at least launch them for now. Because the important thing is we want to get people out there to get it. We don't want people out there to, not get the stuff we're offering because we've been promising, and I want to put it out. Now, one of the things I'm going to say, the first Go Ship Time newsletter deals with flying saucers and has 2 accounts written by Joe. It's phenomenal, people. You guys are going to love it. And it's going to have 4 never before published photographs. Again, look for that in the next couple of days. And when you guys visit our channel each day, you're going to see new things starting to pop up. I'm also going to do a lot more uploading into YouTube. I'm planning to eventually do as much as 2 to 3 times a week. I really want to get content out there, and we're out there basically to show the people the new tricks we're doing, new ideas we're planning, and it's a work in progress right now. We started back in August of last year, and right now we've grown our channel to almost like 5,000 subscribers, and or listeners. So the point is, it takes time to build, but the ultimate goal is to keep on building it. So right now, as I'm speaking, like I said, in the next day or so, I'm going to launch 1 or 2 or 3 more of the ChuckCaputoMagic tricks that were described in the live interview we had last Wednesday, which came out really phenomenal. Actually, it wasn't last Wednesday; it was the Wednesday before. It was on, if I remember, Joe, on the 9th. So not on the 9th. I'm sorry. What day was that, Joe? On the 2nd?
I think I'm looking it up right now. So if anybody is interested in it, head over to YouTube under House of the Unusual, and we have it on our website page there. And I'm looking right now to see when it actually came out, and it was a week ago. So that would have been September 1st. It came out.
Okay, September 1st. Yes, I'm thinking a little bit ahead of here.
Yep, it's Secrets Exposed. Chuck Caputo reveals amazing new magic line. So check that out at House of the Unusual on our YouTube page. Subscribe to our channel and like the video. There's tons of good stuff on there. So if you don't find a video on Chuck's page, we have some of his magic on our page as well. Plus some cool extras, some unboxing of some great mail order items.
That's correct. And also, very important, there's also a video that's called The Gathering, which is one of the first initial tricks I was able to launch that night. And then, of course, I got the news of what was happening in my collection. And, a lot of people got to realize that one of the hardest things is, especially when you collect so much paper, is even if water goes and you have things off the ground, or you're in the second floor, and I could give an example in the storage facility where I have another room, which is a pretty large 10 by 12 room filled to the brim. It's it's a facility that's what they call climate control. I'm on the second floor. I don't like the third because there could be leaks. I don't like the first because there could be flooding. So I'm always in the second floor or third floor if it has 4 floors. And one of the things is a couple of units on the third floor that were close to the walls, I think got some water in them through the ceiling or whatever. So the point is, it's really hard to maintain a collection unless you have some designated museum somewhere in good standing. There's always something you have to, here's a good example. Like, say, when I put a dehumidifier, and it keeps everything nice and dry, there's also the problem that if you keep the dehumidifier for too long, since there's so much paper, it can actually, combust into fire. You can't have it totally dry either. So it has to have it's very hard to keep a perfect climate. But anyway, it has caused a lot of headaches for me this week. And then one of the funny things about it, though, is I bring in this super powerful dehumidifier to make sure everything was suctioned out. And in one of the process, I stepped on the little tube that goes out the window and then realized it was loose. And I get a call again from my daughter. You caused the flood on your own. And I'm like, what? So I flooded my own self again. Luckily, praise God, man. I go, Jesus, thank you that you saved my collection because, and this is funny because I always say, God has been really good with me because it not only in my family and health and everything, but back in 1995 in a 5-alarm fire that the entire facility I had my storage units in, of which 4 were disintegrated completely. I had a locker in the first floor that was it was a 5 by 5 foot locker. I remember it was $20 a month and it was about 30 feet up in the air. And you had to pull this huge staircase, roll it up to the locker, and you climb up there and then you can open it up. And of course you put things in it. Now, what was this steel box that was up in space there, of course, the top of it was obviously, it didn't have a top on it because the sprinklers would be, right above it. But it did have like a mesh, so like nobody could go. I mean, who the heck is going to climb up there and take things if it's like 30 feet in the air? So what I did is I had in there the Monster Ghost, and I had a lot of the original stuff from Honor House I had purchased. And believe it or not, everything that was in there, which, I mean, 5 by 5 foot lets me preserve a lot of the original novelties, survived the fire. I didn't even get water or any type of damage on it. It was perfect. While on the second floor, one of my storages that did survive with a lot of the novelties, people do see that I have a huge novelty collection of SS Adams and stuff. Well, of course I do, because the SS Adams novelties that I have were the ones I used to sell in my magic shop back in 1989 when I had it. So what happened was is that the smell of smoke to this day, and we're talking 1994, 95, when it happened, you sometimes can grab the novelty and take a good whiff of the paper, and you can still smell the fire on them. And it's been, years. So it's amazing. Like I said, everything survived. Now, I've had a couple of areas where water, not in my own home here, but the thing is that I did have a slight bit of a scare. It did seep under the door. That's one good thing I always tell people: keep a lot of rugs and carpets, like, in the entrance and everything, because if you have any type of leak, they do tend to absorb most of the water and it won't go into your boxes. Now, one thing, Joe, and a lot of people don't know, if you have your boxes up high, even if it's 4 inches off the ground and there's water underneath them, you want to pick that up, because if you don't dry it out, it gets absorbed by the paper above as it evaporates. And then that's, you don't want that, because it will be damage to your products. Even if it doesn't get, wet right away, it can happen. Now, I did come across a couple of interesting finds as I was looking through boxes that I haven't opened in years. One of them is I found all the original Fun Factory orders, or one of the boxes of orders, and I was going to take some photographs and, put it on the blog on houseoftheunusual.com, so people can say, wow, those are the Fun Factory, and they could see an idea of what people ordered back then. And I also found a couple of interesting items I haven't looked at. I found my original Tickle Me Elmo that I bought way back. This was when it was going for like $800. I had purchased it for $20 right before they went on sale. I should have sold it, because obviously I'm not going to get $800 for one now, But I found the Tickle Me Elmo, and I found a couple of things there that I haven't come across in many years. One of the also things that I found out, Joe, is the other day, and this is something really phenomenal. I think I think I was excited about. I see, and a lot of people know that a couple of months ago, for about 15, let's go back about 15 years ago, I was trying to buy in Chilo Theater the House on Haunted Hill poster, but the French version. It's a 57 by 63 poster it's huge, but the guy had it up in the sky, and he had it for $579. And I'm like, wow, that's heavy to pay for a poster. So I was walking around, always trying to finagle my way so I can get it cheaper, I went up there and asked the guy, but I just asked him if he'd come down a little. And he said, what's the best you can do? And I said, would you take $550? And he's like, nah, I have to think about it. Let me see at the end of the show. So I'm going round and round. So finally, it's almost 11 o'clock at night. The show's about ready to go. And I see the poster. And I'm going to go up there. And I said, now the guy, I'll probably offer him. I said, look, man, I got 500. I'll give you 500. Well, anyway, I go up there and I go, where's the poster? And I saw the poster as I was going into the room. But as I walked to the back, it's no longer up in the wall. And I go, it was just there. I just saw it outside. He says to me, I just sold it. I said, you sold it? And how much you sold it for? He said, $600. The guy gave me, I said, the guy gave you more? He said, yeah, because I was taking it down. He didn't know the price. I told him 600, gave it to me. So I'm like, wow, man. Ever since I spent like the last 10, 11 years trying to get the poster, but I didn't want to pay, that much for it. And the problem was every time you see it on eBay, it goes for like 800, 1,300, 1,500. Some of them even go for $3,000 if they're linen back. So, and they do come very rare. Like it's very hard to get the original House on Haunted Hill. So anyway, the reason I tell the story is because I finally was able to get it from the same guy who had it that time and sold it for 600. And he knew I kept asking him year after year after year. He gives me a call and says, look, Eddie, if you want, I have a copy. I'm selling it for a friend and he wants 500 for it. He said, I could sell it for a lot more, but I know you've been after it for so long and you bought a lot from me. If you like, I'll let you have it for 500. Man, no questions asked. The check was in the mail, and bingo. A week later, I got the poster, and when I got it, it's such a beautiful poster. I always wanted it, and then I go, wow, man, I didn't realize it was so flimsy. I mean, it's very thin. It's like comic book page thin. So when you open it up and stuff, you got to be careful because on the creases, it wants to rip. So I asked, and I said, you know what? I'm going to get this sucker linen backed. I don't need to restore it because it's in perfect condition. Like the poster doesn't have any type of, it has like a slight little tear in one of the folds, but that once they linen back it, which is going to be about $300, it's going to be perfect. It's going to be perfectly preserved. I wish I could get a frame, but you know how hard it is to frame a 57 by 63.
Oh, that costs it's way
well,
too much money. Plus, how are you going to transport it?
Well, it's not just the cost. The problem is, where the heck are you going to put it? Unless my wife lets me take half of the living room wall, I don't think she'll let me put it there. But anyway, here's a story that I've been, talking about the poster and everything. But this is the exciting part. I came across on the internet the other day when Vincent Price did The House on Haunted Hill. Prior to that, he did a movie called The Bat, which was with Agnes Moorehead. If people don't know who Agnes Moorehead is, that's the mother from Bewitched, the show. Now, Agnes Moorehead, back then, very pretty woman when she was super young. She did the movie with Vincent Price, and it was called The Bat. And there was a poster that was kind of as big as The House on Haunted Hill, a French version, but it looked like it could glow in the dark. It was all like bluish and green. And the poster was phenomenal. I go, man, boy, do I wish I had that poster. I said to myself, and the guy was asking like $2,000 for it. And I got like, oh my gosh, man, wow. So I just looked at it in awe, and I was like, man, I wish I had it. So fast forward, I'm talking to my friend, and I said to him, we're talking about the different things we get in, flea markets and the stuff we bought out throughout the years. And I'm talking to my friend Jim, and Jim says, Eddie, do you remember you have that poster from the... I said, what do you mean I have that poster? He said, they're talking about the green poster? He goes, yeah, do you remember when you brought it over to the pharmacy? I'm like, oh my gosh, I did. Now my question is, where the hell is it? Okay, but I do have the poster. I remember buying that $2,000 poster. Funny thing is, when I remember buying it, I think I paid under $100 for it. This was like, back in, I don't know, 2010, 2011, I think, when I bought it. But I thought I'd tell that story because now I'm actually, I've been looking here tonight as I've been not cleaning up, but I've been reorganizing, rearranging. And I figured, let me open and see if I can come across that poster. It would be phenomenal and have both of them linen back. Because I think there would be, if you could put those two posters together in a wall in future, because, I have been talking with Dave Harversat, I've been talking with Chuck, and I've been talking with you, Joe, that it would be so great to try to open up some type of museum. Like get a nice big large room that has like 13, 15-foot ceilings. So you can lay out all those posters, because what good are they if you can't lay them out? Now, I also was asking myself this question, and and one thing I want to say real quick, not to get off the subject here, but I want to give a shout out to Jim and to Charlie, who listen to the show every week, and I want to thank him for listening. And also, I wanted to say that I'm also waiting for Jim to bring me the donation of the brown derby hat and the photograph of the mysterious person, supposedly the ghost that wears it. Because I like to really put that up in the website. That would be phenomenal, going forward, what I was saying is we were talking about, how posters are. And I one of the questions that I said, why did the French make such huge posters back in the 50s and 40s when in reality, the houses, especially back in the 40s, even in the United States, most people in New York City, for example, they lived in what was called tenements, which were like you had a building, and then in one floor you had one bathroom, and you had like 4 or 8 rooms, and people rented the rooms. Couples, whoever it was, and everybody used the same bathroom down the hallway. Kind of like in the Abbott and Costello Comedy Hour, where you have those, there were tenements like that. And Most of the buildings were like that. And then, so the idea is that they were very small. Even a lot of the houses in New Jersey, Connecticut, unless when you go up to Massachusetts, they're a lot bigger and stuff like that. But I mean, most of the houses that were built, which most of the houses in anywhere in New Jersey were built in the 1930s, except for new construction, they have all had parts added on. So you could look at a house and you go, wow, this house was actually smaller when it was first built, but then they added to it. And the reason that was is because the houses were pretty small. So my question to Jim was like, why the hell did they publish posters that are 57 by 63? That's huge. And it's true what he said, that most of those posters were probably meant for movie theaters. They weren't meant, it's just like when they made those famous monsters like the Bride of Frankenstein and stuff. There's a story from this guy from Metallica that he got this really rare mummy poster. I think it's like the only one they come across. And there's a story about a guy in New York who knew about a 25 sheet. Now, Joe, if you're not familiar with it, the 25 sheet posters are the posters, I think, that cover a billboard. They're huge. And one of the things about those posters is that some guy, I forget where, goes to a flea market, and this guy pays like $40 for a box where the guy tells him, I think there's a couple of posters in there. They look like they're okay. Now, the guy never really bothered to see what type of poster it was. When the guy gets home, apparently, now this wasn't the guy in New York. The guy in New York purchased the poster from this guy, but I think this happened in California or something. The guy realized that it was a 25 sheet Bride of Frankenstein, if I'm correct. I could be wrong if that was the poster for Frankenstein something. But the poster, he had only seen that poster in a catalog that was issued to the movie theaters back in the day. So he had never really seen the poster, what it looked like, or, he only seen a picture of the poster. There's supposed to be a 25 sheet. When this guy in New York, who's a big time collector, forgot his name, realized that, he got on the phone, called the guy. I think they negotiated a price, which I'm sure the guy who paid the $30 got a few $1,000s for it. But I mean, it's one of those. Now, of course, unless you have a billboard, how are you going to put up the poster? It's huge. But the whole thing is that's the way they were made. And the fact, I think, that there's so many rare posters, especially on eBay, that measure 53 by, I think it's 53 by 67. I'm sorry, 57 by 63. 57 inches by times 63. And they're beautiful to get. They really look nice, man. But you do have to pay a heavy buck for them. And I've been one of those suckers that have been buying quite a few. I have about 30 of them. And I'm telling you right now, I'm so excited to find the other one that I'm looking for, the bat, so I can put the two together, because there's like brother and sister, they need to be together. It's something, Joe, that's my future adventure, finding that poster.
Yeah, eventually it'll come around. Usually when you're not looking for something, they'll pop up at the most inconvenient time, it seems.
Now, Joe, what is your favorite poster? Like, because remember we were talking about in the last podcast, the type of artwork that they did for those monster films. Any monster film, any horror film in the 30s, 40s and 50s was phenomenal, man. I've never seen, you don't see posters like that anymore. But the ones back then are just awesome, the way they were put together.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the posters from the 50s. I really like how a lot of those were done, especially the artwork. You can't beat a good, painted poster. And I know, what was it, a few months back, I had found that giant King Kong poster from the 76 movie, and can't remember the size of that one. Do you remember how big that was? Because you had that at your old store window. Am I correct?
Oh yeah, well that poster is actually from the 1939 film. And what they did with that poster is where he's over the city of New York holding the girl in one hand. I forgot the exact story on it, but I know that there was some type of artist who took the hand, copied it, and took off the girl. So he's got his hands up, up in the air and it has the New York City skyline in the front, or towards the back of him, whatever. The thing about that King Kong poster, it was first sold. It was printed, I think, in 1971, and it was sold in Famous Monsters of Filmland, Creepy Magazine. I think you could also find it in the Tomb of Dracula, because if I'm correct, the Tomb of Dracula is that published by Warren Publishing? The ones that you have in your possession?
I know that was Marvel.
Okay, Marvel. I'm sorry. I know that most of the Warren magazines, like Vampirella and stuff, had the poster. My poster, my original poster that I had it in display, the way I had my window in my magic shop, which, there is film for it, but the guy who was my partner at the time in the magic shop sent it over to Chile for his family in an old VHS tape. I was stupid, even though I became a photographer from college, that I never took a photograph. Or, I mean, of course, there's no cell phones. You got to buy a 35 millimeter, whatever. I just never took a photo of my magic shop, which is bizarre. And one of these days, I want to put an ad out to see if anybody did take a photograph of it, because I would like to have a picture of it, But the whole thing is, I had the poster. The poster's huge. It's 60 inches wide, I think, by 60 inches tall. It's huge. Or 50, Joe, I'm not really sure if it's 60 or 54 inches wide, whatever. I know that when you get a 4-foot sheetrock, a 4 by 8 foot sheetrock, it covered the entire sheetrock, and it actually folded around the sides of the sheetrock. And I remember taking a plastic protective cover, and I put the plastic over it, and I had it standing up in my window. So when you looked at my magic shop, what the background was this huge King Kong. Then I had purchased, because I was selling at the time, one of the companies that I had business with was Morris Costumes. And of course, Franco American and SS Adams were my 3 suppliers. And I used to buy this thing called the severed head. And it was a cut off head. It's got the guy opening his mouth. And the wholesale price was like $35. So it was pretty expensive. And I get the head. And what I did with the head and my partner, we got a body and stuffed it. And we stuck the head into the torso of the body, and then what we did is we hung it from the ceiling with a noose, and it was hanging there. The guy was hanging the window, and then I got a professional cobweb machine that you attach to your drill, and then it shot cobwebs all over the window where the guy was, so it looked like it had been there 100 years. And I made like a fake backdrop of a window, so it looked like he was in a room there, whatever. And then to the left of it was the giant size King Kong. And then the store that I had, the storefront, it looked like one of those New York City 1950s pharmacies and stuff like that, because it had the same candy store or newspaper store window. And the little shelves there, I displayed all the magic tricks I was selling inside. It was a phenomenal window, man. That's why I wish I had a picture of it today. I mean, and I know there's film, because they had, this is the time, Joe, that the VHS camera, you would carry a huge briefcase, which was the battery, and you attached it to your shoulder. And then you carry this huge VHS tape video, and the camera probably sold for like $2,000 back then, right? So not everybody had one. And my partner, he took movies of it and sent it to his family over in Chile. Like I said, I wish they could find it. I did see him. I hadn't seen him in years. And I did come across about a year or two ago, and I asked him, I said, hey, listen, man, do you think you can try it? He goes, Eddie, it's like finding a needle in the haystack. But he says, I don't want to promise anything, but yeah, it's still there. So that's something I wish that someday it would be possible to get that video, because it would be phenomenal. Now, another thing I want to bring up, and I mentioned that, is that poster that you're talking about, because we're getting back into the conversation with the poster.
Yeah, I'm just remembering it. Yeah, it was that black and white where he is over the skyline from the 1933 movie. And you said that came on in what, 71 first off?
I believe it says copyright 1971. But Joe, my original poster that I had in the shop, when the fire took place in my storage facility, I had it in the second floor. There was apparently one of the people that worked there. They went inside my thing because my wall was collapsing, and they told me that I went over there and I didn't have any help that day, so I was going to come back the next day to pick up the stuff, and they went into the steel cabinet I had there, and they stole about 30 Johnson Smith catalogs from the 70s, and they stole that poster from me. I throughout the years, every time I went to flea markets and stuff, and I saw the person that I suspected, I always would look and see in the table to see if I would see any of my stuff. I didn't see any. I know that they're saying I think this person did take the stuff. I never was able to pin him down. But anyway, God willing, God always takes care of me, my friend. I came across a copy of the poster, not a copy, an original poster with the original envelope that had a kid standing in front of the poster. Because my original envelope was just plain white. It didn't have the photograph of the kid. So I was able to get the poster at a very decent price. It was like under $130. And right now the poster goes for like $500, $600, $700. In fact, Joe, I think you paid a little bit over $300 for yours, right?
Yeah, after taxes and shipping, it was just a little bit over $300. Actually, I think about $333, because he had it up for, I believe it was close to $500, and we kind of negotiated a price back and forth several times, and I finally was able to get it, I believe, for $300, and then with shipping and tax, all that, it was like $333, something like that.
Yeah, well, the thing about that poster, when it does come, it goes for a lot of money, and it usually sells out right away. The thing about that particular poster, unlike the French posters and stuff, is that it was printed on a very heavy stock glossy photo paper. So, it doesn't break when you bend it. You know what I mean? It's really a good poster for the time. A lot of people that bought the Jack Davis, which is that ugly looking Frankenstein, which people are going to probably curse me for saying that, because it is to this day the best selling poster I ever sold. But the Jack Davis poster to me was a goofy looking Frankenstein and Famous Monsters, and I never really wanted it because I wanted the green Frankenstein from the comic books. Anyway, Joe, I got to tell you, that poster, that funny looking poster, they came in a tube and they also came folded. When I got my original, they sent it to me folded. And when you unfolded him, because the paper's thinner, I could tell you, my friend, it looked like he was behind bars. It took a lot of photoshopping to fix that sucker. So that is probably the best-selling poster I've ever had. Sold like 49 of them in one single night when I first put it out, which is crazy. And, and mentioning posters, I was looking and people who have a copy of Mail Order Mysteries will see that there's a poster there for the Moon Monster. Now, as you guys know out there, and people that don't know, I'm on page 154 of that book. 80% of the stuff in that book is either Ray Castillo's or mine. Ray Castillo is mostly the mask and stuff like that. I have all the other stuff in there, from the monsters to the ghost. Those are all my originals. And there is a Moon Monster poster I have in there, because I have the original. I have two of the originals. The very first one ever printed of the Moon Monster, where he's standing sideways. Now, I told Kurt that poster had to be very low resolution and stuff, because, I don't want people to just go ahead and copy it from there and stuff. But I am planning to, I think, release it soon, Joe. So we are going to probably release that poster on houseoftheunusual.com in the near future. So, Joe, overall, I've been doing most of the talking here. I wanted to see your opinion. What is your opinion in all the posters and stuff, and what is it you want to do, Joe?
You know what, I over the years, I would say about 10 years ago, I really started looking into posters and lobby cards, and I didn't know if I wanted to get too much into the posters, because they can get very expensive, and they can be, well, very space consuming. So I really started kind of looking for more lobby cards, and those could get expensive as well. But I've been able to find a lot of ones from, kind of the serials from the 30s and 40s, and really, the only posters I kind of look for have to be really, the artwork really has to grab me for me to put the money, into it, and to try to make the room for it. Now I have a book, kind of, it's an archival book where I put the lobby cards in, which, it doesn't take up much room, so I have them in there nice. They're in archival bags, and they're very well protected. And the posters that I do have, I have them hanging on the wall somewhere, or I have a bunch of them in archival bags and boards, kind of leaned up against the wall, so that I could still, take a look at them and see them, from time to time. But posters are tough to get into because they are expensive, and some of the better ones are very, very rare. Because most of the time when theaters had them, and when the movie was done, they scrapped the posters. They threw them away, or they folded them up, put them in storage, never to be seen again, or thrown out. So yeah, posters are tough. Now I know there's a lot of people out there that solely collect posters, and I believe there's a guy up in Cleveland who, I think he's in Cleveland, Ohio, if I remember correctly, that he was trying to get one poster for every movie that was ever made. And I know the last time I heard, he was in his 80s, so I don't know if he ever finished that. A good buddy of mine knew him and sold him a bunch of posters, because he owned a VHS store. So any posters that he had left over from that, he sold it to that gentleman. So I don't know. I'll have to kind of ask him that, and maybe we'll do a follow-up on here and see if that guy's still around, or if he's still collecting posters. But yeah, he was trying to get one poster for every movie ever made. Could you imagine trying to do that? Now I know he had a warehouse specifically built to house all his posters, but I mean, that feat alone is just absolutely mind-blowing. So
the situation with something like that is, like, I have about, I don't know, I would say between 37 and 43 French huge posters. Now, why do I buy the French? Because the artwork, for some reason, is a little better than the American version, and also they're huge. When you see them, and you're like, wow, man, And one thing I'm going to say to you, and this is for the posters themselves. There is one that I just recalled right now when you're saying that people are trying. There was one that is Frankenstein. There's a lightning bolt. He's like on a slab of wood. And there's like the Dr. Frankenstein above him. And it's a Frankenstein poster. I do know that the poster is 108 inches long by
wow.
like 36 inches wide. And I got it for $179. This is years ago. But that's what I'm saying. That I think was an Italian poster. The Italians went a little bigger than the French. But you know something though, Joe? There's a poster that I bought, I don't know, 2014, 2013, I don't know, sometime back then. It's of the Beatles. Now, it's a 4-sheet poster. The total size of the poster, if I remember, is 144 inches wide by 122 inches tall. I remember putting it in the lobby of the place where I work, and it covered like the entire lobby floor. There are 4 sheets, and it shows the Beatles like they're sitting on a stool. 2 of them are standing, and 2 of them are sitting on the stool side by side. I only paid like $30-something for the poster. I'm asking myself, where the heck did I put that poster? You know what I'm saying? And I know, like I said, I have it, and it'll probably pop up pretty soon, maybe even tonight. Who knows? I'm over here tonight, probably till like late trying to rearrange stuff like that. And I'm about to start pulling all my posters and looking at them because I'm actually anxious to find the bat one, the one that my friend Jim said I had.
Well, I tell you what, it is definitely a good night because we both have thunderstorms and all that. So it is definitely a good night to check out some good horror posters or even some horror movies. So we're at the top of the hour here, or bottom of the hour, however you want to look at it, for our podcast. So we're gonna wrap it up here real quick, and I want to say thank you for everybody out there that listens to us week after week. For any of our new listeners, thanks for joining us. We hope that you will stop back every week and check out our podcast. We put out every week, comes out Thursday night at midnight or so, somewhere around there, whenever it comes out. I know we had some technical difficulties at the beginning of this one, so this one's going to take a little bit longer to get out. So it'll still be out early Thursday morning. I'm sure Eddie will be up all night trying to put it together, and he does a great job putting the episodes together. So we also want to let everyone know to check out houseoftheunusual.com. That is our main site. We do have a free forum that you could join and sign up there, and we have some great conversations going on there. People are showing off some unbelievable items from their collection, man. It's making me jealous to see some of those horror items. So definitely love looking at that. And also head over to YouTube, type in House of the Unusual. Our site will pop up. Subscribe to the site, so that way you could get updates to all of our videos when they are coming out, and give our videos a like if you so choose. Eddie does some hard work on putting those out. Chuck Caputo got some great videos on our site as well, and we're going to have some more unboxing videos coming up here in the next few weeks, so definitely be on the lookout for that. So that's all I got, Eddie, and we are wrapping this up. So, hey, thanks for joining us in the great conversation on posters, man. I always enjoy, talking about the artwork and anything dealing with horror movies. So, awesome.
Well, that's right, Joe. And like I said, the only good thing about posters is whoever does collect them. I hope, like me, I'm trying to get some place where I can get a huge room with 13-foot high ceilings that I can put them all in, because it's very hard. It's hard to even look at them. Well, anyway, guys, have a great day, great night. God bless everybody out there. And Joe, I'll be talking to you then again soon, buddy.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for joining us, and we will talk to you next time. Good night.
Good night.